Welcome to Leading with Purpose, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you become the leader you aspire to be. Join us on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and inspiration as we explore the world of leadership and personal growth. In each episode, we will explore the art and science of effective leadership, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from experts and thought leaders across various industries. And now your hosts, Dawn Marie Bornhammer, Maisha B. Hoy, Janelle E. Taylor, and Dr. Sharon H. Porter. Welcome to Leading with Purpose, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you become the leader you aspire to be as you lead, empower, inspire, and achieve. I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, Editor-in-Chief of Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine.
I'm Janelle E. Taylor, CEO and founder of the JTOA Corporation, where we optimize people, performance, and product.
Hi, everyone. I am Maisha B. Hoy. I am the CEO of BSHG LLC, which manages and markets MaishaLemonadeStand.com, Qbot.com, and my passion, customer first marketing.
And I'm Dawn Bornhammer, founder and Chief Impact Officer for Mission Inspired Consulting.
And we are super excited to welcome award-winning Terry Beltran, CEO of Beltran Media, LLC. Welcome to the podcast, Ms. Beltran.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here with all you ladies. It's amazing. And so looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. And I have the pleasure of kicking this off so to learn more and more about you and all of the work that you do. Can you start by telling us just how you began in this whole world of media?
Well, it's funny because it goes far back to when I was in college. I went to Michigan State University, and before that, I was kind of working my way through college, and I ended up working at PBS and one university to another, and then from there, I was really studying to be an industrial engineer and wanted to work in automotive. So I eventually did make to automotive and worked for General Motors. And in all the areas that I worked in, I always felt like I was a closet entrepreneur because I always felt like I wanted to move things fast with the company. I was in product development, I was in marketing, I also worked in diversity and global marketing as well. So in all those facets, I always felt it was very important to really not only look at the diverse customers that we had and multicultural, but also try and elevate the brand in a better way where it was really developing a good purpose for what really needed to do to really meet the needs of our customers. So when I left, that was, I thought to myself, well, I'm going to do that. I want to do that for other companies, especially ones that really don't know how they're doing it right. They don't know how to focus on developing that relationship. One of the things that I did when I was with General Motors was cost-related marketing. I did a program called Concept Cure where we paired designers from New York with car designers like Tommy Hilfiger and Dana Buchman. And we did one-of-a-kind sweepstakes to raise money for breast cancer research. And we were able to do 2.1 million under my leadership. And it was something that was really important to me. When I saw that, I thought, this is the impact that needs to happen. And so much more today than ever. And really that's how I got started. I just kind of decided to use my skills. And my mission was really to elevate other brands, small as well, because I believe that they can also make a big difference in our world.
I really appreciate the start, the start of it all, because as a small business owner and talking to many small business owners and entrepreneurs, we know that marketing can be a scary part of the business, right? We know that that's what makes it successful, but just how to go about doing it may be a little scary. So thank you for your start in that and the passion that you have for it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You have a conglomerate of enterprises and you've created a nexus. So with all of the talk since, I guess, COVID, the DEI, as someone who has worked extensively in bilingual programming, how important is cultural inclusivity and brand messaging? And what advice would you give companies looking to connect with diverse audiences?
It is more important than ever. Multicultural is no longer a niche. It's a necessity for a company to go forward. If they decide to turn back on it, they get hurt real bad. And we've seen that with many companies out there that have either taken away funding from LGBT organizations like Chick-fil-A and gotten really boycotted. We've also seen different things happen, unfortunately, with companies that saw a conservative side saying that they're going to boycott them because they are supporting diversity and multicultural groups, and that's wrong. And they're going to get hurt because we're the majority. And I really feel strongly that it's not only just doing that to customers, it's only in the inside of the company is people that represent those folks that are out there. And that's really a big mistake because we're the majority. And really, as far as any kind of things that they do, not reaching out and not considering inclusivity or diversity in their planning, both internally with their employees and also externally and with their suppliers as well, is really a big mistake because it's really the way it's going. And the ones that really will prosper and go advancing against other companies will be those that embrace inclusive and diversity and move forward and do not shy away. One example is Disney. I love that brand. I always felt it was the strongest brand ever. And I admire them for everything that they've done to combat the fact that politically they were kind of being bullied to go against what they really believed in. And I really admire that. And I think that builds much more loyalty, and it also draws more people that, it's like, oh my gosh, I love what they did. I am going to go and buy their brand. And those that don't do it are going to lose those customers that are loyal. And we know that that's hard to get back. So it's very
Absolutely, Terry. It's almost like DE&I is it's an oxymoron. We all want to be seen. We all want to have the platform. So we should not have to, do the tug of war for that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really sad that that's happening. It's disturbing, but it's really all up to us, everyone, to make a difference and do something about it and speak up. Because if we don't speak up for others, who's going to speak up for us if that happens?
Absolutely. Thank you for pushing this movement forward, and because we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Terry. Again, I always have to do full disclosure when I bring someone that I know. I won't say no, but met. And I met Terry through the Dell Women's Entrepreneur Network. So to all of you who are going to listen on that network, hello. And networking works, connections work, because I listened in on Terry's talk on brand purpose. And I took so many notes that I reached out to her like immediately after the workshop. So explain to our audience, what is purpose-driven branding and why it's so important in today's market?
Purpose-driven branding is really the why that a person or a company is developed in. The person who decides that business. It's why did you do it? What is it that you're going to create an impact with your customer? Because brand is not a logo or the pretty colors. It's really the emotion that happens in those customers when they see what you're about. It's not really so much the name either or the logo. It's what you're doing in their community or what you're doing for them and the value that you're providing. If it resonates with them, that's really the purpose you're fulfilling. So it's really the why. Why did you develop this company, and what was something that really built inside of you that you wanted to create this service or this product, and you really wanted to make a change happen? And that's really what purpose branding means, purpose-driven branding, because you're really driving towards that way. And it's such more important today more than ever, I think, because exactly so many people are looking at that, especially the young generation. The young generation are very, very much looking at what is that brand doing. It's not a matter of nice feature or nice service. I want to know what you're doing, for things that values that I believe in, whether it's the environment, where it's something that's human rights, anything out there that's happening. It's really important right now. And we're seeing that movement quite a bit. So building your purpose and making sure you're aligning that with the customer that you want to serve is very important today.
Absolutely. And it's important because branding, as you said, it went from just the logo to the meaning behind the logo and then communicating that to logo. So I'm glad that you're at the forefront of making this purpose part of our company strategy.
Yeah, it's very important. And you're right, it's a strategy and it's going forward. It's really, it needs to be, when the messaging happens, the mission needs to be consistent in their, not just their marketing, but also with whatever their employees say. And, it's how they act too. How are you acting upon what you're saying and what you believe in and what your mission is? And that's really, a very important thing. So everything needs to be consistent, not just in what they're writing out there or their website. It's just also how they're acting and what they're doing is really important.
Yes, consistency is a key word that we hear almost every single time we speak to a leadership expert.
Yeah, consistency. Very important.
So I want to take that conversation a step further in the direction of creating an inclusive brand. And so thinking about purpose-driven marketing, but then also the creation of an inclusive brand. When college students and young people are looking into the world and they're trying to decide where they're going to spend their money or who they may want to work with or who they want to amplify on social media, they're looking to see themselves in the work that's being done at times. But what does it mean to create an inclusive brand, and what part of that is visual in those moments and what part of that is really at the core of what you're creating?
Well, it really is developing a strategy to make sure that inclusivity means that I'm including you and you're going to belong here, and just like the employees. Inclusivity and belonging are kind of hand in hand. We don't single you out. So as a young person, no matter what race or what gender you decide to be, you are going to be included in this company. And so for them, they're looking to make sure that that company, inside the company, has representation that looks just like them. And then also making sure that they are fulfilling any kind of cause or organizations that's really important to them. So inclusivity really means that they've got to really make sure that they are including those folks and what they're looking like and what they're feeling like in their community. And that's what really inclusivity means. And so basically, if that company is really making sure that they are also not only just participating, but also being very much involved and inside the community visibly, that's really important. So that really is something that I believe that is a lot of companies can do a really good job of that and being really active. Like, for instance, Hispanic Heritage Month is right now. But if they do something a lot more inclusive about getting their employees that are diverse in different countries to bring in different dishes and everything, that's really saying something. They're appreciating internally the differences that their employees have and also learning from them. Because one of the things I always say that the fact that we're all different is really good in a company, and a company should embrace that because it brings a lot of great ideas, innovative things that they never would have thought of, someone else would, because of a cultural experience that they've had or where they're from, different things like that. So it's really a huge benefit to have that.
No, and I like how you point out the opportunity to both create experiences and to establish a culture of learning and growing through those experiences, recognizing that those unique and diverse perspectives can really add value and further innovation for a given company. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, Terry. So we know that branding and marketing are very closely related, but we also know there are some very key differences, right? And I hear a lot of people are always mixing the two. Can you please share with our audience some of the key differences of branding and marketing?
Yes, definitely. And thank you for saying that, because there is people think that they're the same thing. They're not. Branding is not the logo. It's not all those other assets. Branding is really your strategy, your mission. How are you speaking to your customer? Do you have the right target customer? Is your offering correct? It's really the core of your why, and you're constantly asking, why did I do this? Why is this important to my customer? Why would they want to buy this? So it's a lot of whys, and it's really developing that core of your business, which is really going to drive the marketing of it, which is really the legs of branding. It's really the areas, the channels of social media, it's the channels of your website, it's the communication channels is what I call it. And these are the paths that come out of your brand. So branding is not, and unfortunately people do think, oh, it's a brand, it's just a logo, you're going to design a logo. But no, not really. It's really your core mission and what you really are there for. What's the promise you're giving to your customer? What's your reason for developing this, and how are you going to impact? What is it that they're going to see in you? Because with brands, with marketing, it's different. People see it, they do it, but a brand really, you can't control what a customer is going to feel about your brand. So it's important to learn and understand and do your work to do all the testing and understanding your customer and what their needs are. And are you aligned with that customer? Is your purpose aligned with that customer? Do you have the offerings that are really meeting their needs? But it also goes back to that core again. What is the reason you're doing that? And how does that fulfill a need, a void, something that really is not being fulfilled out there? And then that's your brand. It's really the image that you're creating. It's also a very important part of your company, because that will go with you wherever you go. And that's really from there, that's when you start evolving into the logo and the beautiful colors and everything. But you really need to look at your branding is really your mission, your vision, and what your reason for being is.
Absolutely. And I think it goes across genres too, not even small, not even businesses. I'm an educator by profession, and that's one of the things that I tell my school, our brand, how are we known? What's our way? And so that certainly goes a long way there, right? And if
Yeah.
you right, is that and if you think of those name brands that's out there, like if you say efficient, great customer service that's in fast food, people automatically know pretty much who you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and you're right. I also work with nonprofit brands and organizations, and in that, I'm also helping them to develop that, to make sure that they've lost that connectivity with their audience. But how do you reposition that, or how do you make sure that what you were before, because it can evolve too with time. So you need to also evolve and go back and see what has changed. Us,
Yes.
obviously, things will never stay the same. So your audience will change too. And so you need to go back and check. And you're right, nonprofits, I've always worked with them. And, it's interesting because nonprofits, educational, all of them really have a very important part in the community. I've worked with universities as well, and really developing their relationship with other groups, because that's the way they need to continue developing that way, because they need more enrollment. And so
Definitely.
that's also, what are they doing? And the image and what their mission is really important, and it evolves over time.
Thank you for that.
This is such an interesting discussion. I tell you, talking to young people, and then I talk to some retirees, and, the mantra is the same. Great story. Let me see your data. Especially the millennials are really leading with a torch of, we want to see evidence that you are a business of social good. So, Terry, in your terms and in your view, what is the next frontier? It's 2024 for businesses with all the social channels that we have. We have a lot of, hey, we're doing this humanitarian efforts. What drives the social good, and how can companies prepare to lead in the space authentically beyond their websites to show, here are the metrics, here's the data that we're actually leading in the space of social constructs?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really kind of happening already, but we're moving towards a direction that the consumers are really going to make the drive and the decision on where some brands are going to go, who are going to survive, and who are not going to survive. They're really making that decision because they're now driving everything. And not only that, it's really important that they focus on what is important to them. So I believe that the future lies more in the hands of the consumer than it does the brands and companies. And companies and nonprofits all need to start looking and listening. What are we going to do? Because there's a paradigm shift going on. There's a lot of changes happening. They have the upper hand as far as making a decision of where they're going to put their investments in. And that's really important. So I think that's direction. Plus, there's also a lot of things happening. There's AI, there's a lot of technology, a lot of ways to be able to learn more about what your company is doing, what it's not doing. There's a lot of different things happening out there that really tools that customers have at their hands. I mean, it's more than Google. You can go into AI and find out more details about what are some of the things that they're doing or how their belief, annual reports are very much out there so they can read that. So I think it's in the hands of the consumers going forward, and it's really important that we recognize that. And I think they're going to be driving a lot of things. They already are in a way. They're driving a lot of influence as far as which way they're going to go. And I really think it's going to go on the positive side. I don't really think that, anti-DEI or any of these things are going to last, because I believe that there's still good out there, and doing social good helps everyone in the long run. And everyone's affected by something that's not good. So I think everyone wants to see something good for their neighbor, and so they can't really, and if they don't, I'm kind of surprised. But most everyone, I think, wants to see something good happen, not only to them, but also to others. So I think it's going to overcome whatever challenges. And I think companies need to pay attention and be strong-willed, because challenges can happen with these changes happen. Unfortunately, we are in a very high political situation, and companies are in the middle of it, and people are in the middle of it. But I believe that's the reason why consumers are much more in the upper hand to make a decision, because they're watching that very closely.
Consumers are in fact in control, and just digging a little deeper to get that good feeling goes, in turn with looking to see what the company is actually doing for that authenticity, to fact check. But yeah, it's definitely a changing market every time. So I just want to remind our audience that when you do choose a company, make sure they are doing good deeds, which in turn is a part of your consumerism. So you are related to those companies as well. Thank
Yes,
you, Terry.
you're welcome. Thank you for saying that too.
Told you it'd be a great conversation. So the other great reason that I wanted you to talk to us is because of a question that Dawn asked probably a few months ago. And I'm glad that you built teams, you built revenue, you've won awards. So you probably can answer this question more than I could. The difference between marketing leaders and marketing leadership. And the reason why I ask, because leadership to me is when you're managing teams and helping them grow and becoming, all that they can be. But we as marketing people want to get the number one market share, drive revenue, get more people to know who brand awareness. So if you could talk to that distinction, I would really appreciate it.
Okay. So the distinction between a marketing leader and a marketing manager?
Person who, yeah, so this is the question, right? Are we one and the same? If we are leading our markets and we are achieving our goals, are we de facto marketing leaders? Is that leadership? Because it's just been an interesting question for me, and I'm bringing it to you
Yeah,
as well.
interesting. Yeah, trick question here, huh? As far as marketing leadership, when I think of marketing leadership, I really think that the good marketing leaders in general, are the ones that are putting the right people in the right seats.
There you go.
Because if they're not in the right seats, you won't get anything done. So that's what I see a marketing leader do. Because any kind of everything takes a team. You can't do it alone. And even collaboration is important. So that's what I believe a marketing leader has to do. They need to make sure that they are thinking out of the box, and they're also looking at collaboration. I do co-branding for my clients, and I think that's such a very important thing to do. Get the co-branding with the right partner, with the right customer, and that matches, and what you're doing is really coming together and giving them even much more value together. So those sort of things are really important that I believe that a leader does. They're really thinking strategically along the whole thing. And I think as far as marketing, when you got marketing department, marketing managers, there's a role that they all play differently, So I think that when they're within an organization, everyone, of course, has a certain task that they have to do. And having been in a company, I know that a big corporation like General Motors, I had the task of doing GM.com. Or I had the task of doing Concept Cure, and someone else had the task of doing something else, maybe an event at Epcot or something with Disney. So everyone has kind of their area, but I think that it's still very important. I mean, for me, I was still passionate about what I had to do. It might be one piece of the pie, but that pie meant a lot to me because as long as I did my job and I did the right thing with what I was doing and make it successful, I'm not just only elevating, one area of what I'm doing. Also helping others that are going to be part of that. Like for me, I was developing a global website for GM.com. It was the first time we're going to bring all their services and brands globally into a website. So it affected everybody. And so I wanted to make sure that what I was doing, even though it was my small part, was really focusing on that. So no matter, I think they're both a little bit different, but they all have the same kind of authority over something that they need to do. And in a way, they're kind of leaders in a way too, because as I was doing my mission with the website and developing, I had to bring a lot of dog and pony show and go to a lot of divisions and tell them and go and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and bring people into what we're doing, because collaboration and also buy-in is a very important thing to move things forward, whether you're a small business or an agency working with clients, or whether you're in your own small business or large, collaboration and making sure everyone's on the right page to move forward is really important. And I really think that both to go hand in hand to make a good positive relationship in a company that really people admire. So I hope I answered your question on that one.
Well, you did, but you helped me articulate back to my host. I think what you said that was key is we put people in the right places.
Yeah.
And we also have to bring people in to understand what we're doing. And if we could do those two things effectively, I think that what makes us marketing leadership people. So thank you for helping me explain to them what we were trying to do here.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a very thoughtful response, honestly, because I think about different industries and different sets of leaders and how we lead. And some of it is more obvious, if you will, because of what Maisha was describing in her question. And I love the idea of leading yourself, like through your taking ownership over your role or your piece of the pie, as you mentioned, and really then using that confidence and that knowledge that you have in your zone of genius, if you will, to bring people along to help amplify the impact that you can make through that one piece. Building off of that, I was actually thinking about the power of employee retention. And I know that you speak about, and it may have been in one of your newsletters I read, but something to the effect of the perception of the company and its connection to employee retention. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and where you see those going hand in hand? Maybe something you would illuminate one of your clients for one of the leaders that you're trying to assist in understanding that connection a little bit more.
Yeah, I am very adamant about that part of it. I work with employee resource groups, and I give presentations and workshops to them, and I help develop their branding as well, from a personal branding. And in my talk on that, I always say that retention is really an issue with companies. And the reason why it's an issue is because they're not focusing on the development of their own employees and their advancement and their branding and self-branding themselves to make sure that they are also able to move forward where they should be, where they want to go. And that's really important. And it's also a lot to do with what happened since the pandemic. I think it brought into light that we needed to have work-life balance. That's something that I know I didn't have when I worked at General Motors. And I know we studied that we wanted to give that to employees, but people didn't trust anyone not being at their table. So that really has changed now. And obviously, women have been the largest number that have been leaving companies. And so employee retention with women is really critical. And that's why one of the things that I talk to is basically making sure that they understand that the value that women bring to the company is very important. They have a lot of different varieties of values that they can give and give a company than men can. Men can have their kind of assets, but we also do a lot of things that we know about. We know a lot about nurturing. We know a lot about diverse, moving, multicultural, not multicultural, but multitasking. We're very good at multitasking. So I don't know, but there's so many assets that we have that's so important in that area. And that's one of the things that I know with retention right now, that goes hand in hand with diversity and inclusion as well, that if they don't really look at that, they're going to lose more employees. And they really need to start thinking about how the pipeline is going to come in with young people looking at that. Because right now, they're not really interested in a company that's going to be kind of not willing to get their employees to develop themselves further or giving them more empowerment. I know my son's he's in engineering college. He's in college for engineering when he co-ops. They talk. And in fact, they tell me which companies they don't want to work for because they say they're not treating their employees well. People are not happy inside. They see it. So young people are very much aware. They talk, so they know what companies are really going to do the right thing and a good environment to work in, and which one are not. Which ones are much more progressive and forward thinking and open and do embrace work-life balance because they see that brings positivity to their employees and help them move forward. So it's really important to really embrace that. And I'm glad to see a lot more companies doing that. I listen to my son and I'm really happy to hear some engineering manufacturing companies that are just amazing. They have one of them told me there's 3 dogs. I'm like, what? They let their dogs in. I'm like, that's really great. So the dogs are in the office. Why not? Why not also have a daycare in the or nearby for, why not do those? Both mom and dad need something like that. And then the same thing that, one of them, I think they told me they had like a slide that goes to the second floor. Like, that's pretty cool. And I always believed this. When I started with GM, I started with Buick. And at that time, we used to have marketing and engineering working together. And I remember the engineering manager in our department, because we worked hand in hand together, would say, your job should be 51% fun. And it stuck with me forever. I felt like that's exactly how my employees should feel. That's exactly how I want my sons to feel when they work somewhere. And there are times where I felt that way too, when I was working for GM. But I think that that's an important thing that resonated with me. And I thought, yeah, if your job is 51% fun, sure, you're going to stay there because that's really how it should be. You should feel that way. You should enjoy it. And it should be because gosh, you're spending more time there than with your family sometimes. So you really need to have that.
Yeah, so if I'm hearing you correctly, if somebody is recognizing that they're having trouble with employee retention and that there is an area that they could start to improve in, that they should take a look at who's leaving first and foremost, but then also what can they do to create more harmony for the people that are there and to bring a little bit more joy to the work that they're doing. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, and I also think that they need to ask. I think too many companies are afraid to ask feedback for their employees. I think they should listen to them because before it's too late, because they're going to say, hey, I'm not getting this opportunity, or why am I paid less than this and I've done this in so many years, or I need this work-life balance and it's not working for me. and really accommodate. I mean, especially if there's someone who's a huge value and you're not going to be able to replace them. Right now, we know that HR people always say it's hard to replace an employee. It costs more money to replace them than to keep them. So, be honest and have those open conversations with them and really make it to where you're getting open door feedback, what they called it before. And so just really be honest and authentic, really. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, I had an open door leader. I've worked for him twice in my life, and for that very reason. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wow, wow, wow. Miss Terry Beltran, we want to say thank you. Thank you for being our guest today, for giving us all of this insight into branding and marketing and purpose-driven branding and multicultural marketing. It has been indeed a pleasure, and I would love to give you this space to share your contact information, how people can connect with you, how they can follow you, and how, if they choose to, use your services.
Oh, sure, definitely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been such a joy speaking with all four of you, and really been great questions you asked, and I really enjoyed speaking on those topics. And really, if anyone would like some help or any kind of consulting, I offer, one-on-one consulting for 30 minutes to see where you're at and your business, your branding. I also work with employee resource groups if they ever want some workshops or any kind of like consulting in that area as well. And they can reach me through LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Terry Beltran, or they can go to my website, beltranmedia.com, and find me through there and click on to make an appointment on Calendly with me. It's very simple. And I look forward to hearing from everyone that they're basically, I'm always happy to see them elevate to the next level, whether it's a company already established or a startup, or it's a person who really wants to build their brand and maybe transition from work to an entrepreneur as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it and value your insight. We also want to thank our viewers and our listeners for joining us for another wonderful episode of Leading with Purpose podcast. I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter.
I'm Janelle Taylor.
And I'm Raisha Hoy.
And I'm Dawn Marie Bornheimer. As you navigate your leadership journey, remember that leading with purpose is not just a philosophy, it is a commitment to a positive impact.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your network and don't forget to subscribe so you will never miss an opportunity to explore the intersection of leadership and purpose.
Continue to lead, empower, inspire, and achieve.
And until next time, lead with passion, lead with a positive intention, and by all means, continue to lead with purpose. Thank you for joining the Leading with Purpose podcast. Please join us every Monday for a new episode.